If you're a maintenance supervisor for a commercial property, you've had to deal with everything from leaky faucets to flickering light bulbs. But nothing's worse than that ancient boiler that's lived in the building since the day it was built, 50 years ago. It's enough to make anyone lose their cool. That's where Grainger comes in. With industrial-grade products and dependable fast delivery, Grainger can help with any challenge, from worn-out components to everyday necessities. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
We finally decided on a time for tonight. Nice.
Apologize, we got some technical issues. You know what? I was asked this week what that explosion is in our theme song, and I never explained it. And so my reply was it was us blowing people's minds.
Yeah.
Because
I'm really glad you did
time bomb, just so you know. Hi.
I am Sean. That is.
You know who I am.
I don't know, Clint. Something like that. Hank. Whatever you want us to be. We are Sackhead Radio. To talk about tonight, hopefully we'll get to your calls at some point. Maybe not, though. We have Middle East talk, Libya, the UN General Assembly. We have Netanyahu's entire speech that we broke up so we can discuss.
We have a portion of Ahmadinejad.
We do have whatever his name is.
Hey, I want to start with something that I found at the end of last week's show. It came out, and it came out of that I didn't have time to even discuss because I literally found it right after the show ended. But I think they were in session past midnight, and that I thought were interesting. One vote is on it was a joint resolution 41, so SJ Resolution 41, expressing the sense of Congress regarding the nuclear program of the government of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Basically saying, hey, you know what, we don't want Iran getting nukes. So I'm not going to read the full 3 pages, but it essentially says we're going to do everything in our power to prohibit the government of Iran from getting nuclear weapons. And
which would seem like a good thing.
It would seem like a very good thing.
So
and
our president just went in front of the UN General Assembly. And
it was easy. Don't be getting ahead of us.
Sorry.
So the sense of Congress reaffirms that the United States government and the governments of responsible countries have a vital interest in working together to prevent the government of Iran from acquiring a nuclear weapons capacity. And I'm reading just one portion. Number 2 warns that time is limited to prevent the government of the Islamic Republic of Iran from acquiring a nuclear weapon from nuclear weapons capability. 3 urges continued and increasing economic and diplomatic pressure on the Islamic Republic of Iran to implement the full and sustained suspension of all uranium enrichment related to related and reprocessing activities in compliance with UN Security Council resolutions, complete cooperation with the IAEA on all outstanding questions related to the nuclear activities, and a permanent agreement that verifiably assures that Iran's nuclear program is entirely peaceful. It goes on to say that it expresses the desire the P5+1 process successfully and swiftly leads to the objectives identified in paragraph 3. It warns that the window for diplomacy is closing. It expresses support for the universal rights and democratic aspirations of the people of Iran. Strongly supports the United States policy to prevent the government of the Republic of Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons capability. Rejects any United States policy that would rely on efforts to contain a nuclear weapons capable of Iran, and to find President that would rely on as the Iranian threat. But it says in section, nothing in this resolution shall be construed as an authorization for the use of force or a declaration of war. However, everybody says we don't want them to get nukes. Now, that I thought was interesting there were 9 members of the Senate who I don't believe were voting on a couple things, and there were 91 present. Now, the vote count for the yays for this, meaning, yeah, we don't want them to get nukes, was 9. There was 1 nay. And the nay really surprised me, and we tried contacting this member for comment because there's another bill that came forward also that was voting for that we wanted to get a statement from, but he didn't return our calls this week. Who do you think the nay was?
Well, I would think that it's probably a Democrat at some point.
No. It was Senator Paul from Kentucky.
Rand Paul.
Yeah.
You kidding me?
No. Nay vote. And
why?
I don't know. We tried to call him for comment, if you recall, but we never called him.
Then. I wasn't actually.
Yeah, I know. I know. I don't know. And I even put my libertarian hat on, and I tried to think about it. And I remember some statement that his father made during the campaign about Iran getting nuclear. That was a policy that I disagree with. But I'm curious to find out his thought process on it. So we're going to try and continue to get a statement from him to find out what he believes it's a good idea, or maybe that it's not America's business.
Or maybe he believes it wasn't strong enough for some reason.
Yeah,
you never know. Anything's up in the air.
Yeah, I have no idea. The other thing that was voted on was a plan to the government fund, and also and also to overcome.
I could book my paycheck.
Yeah, no, we're gonna keep it going here. Senator Rand Paul, in addition to this vote to keep the government funded, he forced a vote on his amendment to cut U.S. aid to the following countries: Pakistan, Libya, and Egypt. And again, a lot of people think that is a good idea, but
I have no problem with that.
The Senate overwhelmingly voted it down, and the vote count was 81 to 10. And the 10 yays to cut funding to those countries were Republican. They were Crapo, which I love that name, from Indiana, DeMint, Grassley, Lee, Moran, Paul, Reich, Roberts, Shelby, and Toomey. And then 81 nays. The nays was bipartisan. The nays was strictly Republican. So I thought that was a very interesting vote. But, yeah, let's just keep all this funded because they're doing such a great job with our money.
Yeah.
Are you 50 or older? This news is for you. The CDC now recommends you get vaccinated against pneumococcal pneumonia. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at risk. People 50 or older are over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia compared to adults 18 to 49. Just one shot can help protect you. Learn more and schedule at vaxassist.com. That's VAXassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
I think, again, why we throw money at countries that hate us? You have Morsi in Egypt. I know the acting government of Libya says they don't hate us, and we'll play a clip later where pretty much calls Obama a liar when it comes to the terrorist attacks. But why are we spending money? First of all, with our budget and our deficit, let's start there.
I don't know, and I have to give Congressman Paul. Kudos.
All right. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, it's been a long day. I have to give him kudos for bringing it up and having the stones to even force a vote on that, because now everybody has to go back to district and explain why they voted to keep funding those countries. So I think it's a smart move, like a good call. Not to mention, I agree with that legislation.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
And I'll be the first one to say, hey, I don't understand all the ins and outs of international politics or why we give them money. But honestly, we don't have it, so why is it going to them? But I'm really curious about his vote on the nuclear Iran.
Yeah, that was in my opinion, my humble opinion, that was proving a point. And I don't know what it was.
I don't know. I don't want to speak to that because I have no idea, and I can't. I think that's a stupid reason.
The button wrong.
Ooh, I like that. Let's go with that.
I have no other excuse or reasoning for it that I can think of.
I don't know either. But going back to the international aid, there was this story just came out today. I got it from news.com. That Kay Granger, she's a Republican. She's a congresswoman out of Texas and chairwoman of the Appropriations Subcommittee on State and Foreign Operations. And I got a press release here from her office. But she blocked $450 in U.S. assistance to Egypt today. So,
good job, Representative Green.
So the State Department basically says that they want to spend send $450 million to assistance Egypt, and the State Department notified the Congress to transfer the money to the Egyptian government, which everybody knows it's a new government under Mohamed Morsi, the new president of Egypt over there. And relations with that country between the U.S. and Egypt under this new administration have been rocky at times. But here's her statement. Now, the United States gives $1.55 billion
annually.
So $1.5 billion annually.
Right.
To the country. Now, $250 million of that is typically for economic aid, and the balance is for military assistance,
which is $1.3 billion.
So we give them military aid, and there was just an act of war committed against our embassy there. I digress. Anyways,
first of all, we gave them. I'm sure this all started when Hosni Mubarak was in charge over there. And we had a relationship with them, as did Israel, as did other.
Egypt was providing stability, and we were a huge part of that.
So then we had an interest to give them $1.3 billion because it's protecting our interests. That we had somebody we trusted, whether or not he was bought off.
And nobody screwed around over there because Egypt's military, which was funded by us, provided that stability over there. And
now that it's completely unstable and you have the Muslim Brotherhood running it. We don't know anything about it. We have not had great relations with them. They've started a whole bunch of different rhetoric that isn't necessarily pro-U.S., but we
don't need to be funding them, which this kind of dovetails from the legislation or the vote that was forced by Parliament.
So that's 1.3
Rand Paul. Sorry. I can't do it tonight. I want to read the press release from Congresswoman Granger's office, and what it says is Congresswoman Kay Granger, chairwoman of the Appropriations Subcommittee on State and Foreign Operations, released the following statement. The committee was notified today that the administration plans to transfer $400 million to cash assistance to the new Egyptian government. Quote, this proposal comes to Congress at a point when the U.S.-Egypt relationship has never been under more scrutiny, and rightly so. I am not convinced of the urgent need of this assistance, and I cannot support it at this time. As chair of the subcommittee, I have placed a hold on these funds. So she's held the funds as a result of what's on over there. Yes?
Yes. I'm glad she did it, and I'm not complaining that at all. But why is it only one member of Congress?
Good question. I was going to go there next, playing devil's advocate.
Yeah, why? I mean, yeah, great for her. And if you live in Representative Kay Granger's, I mean, she obviously has a set of, I don't want to say stones, but she has the audacity to sit against everyone and say, hey, something's not right. And even though I can't make it go away, I can block it, and that's what I'm going to do.
She placed a hold on the fund.
Right.
So she didn't
stop it.
She didn't stop it. Outright. Yeah, she didn't say, no, Congress isn't funding Egypt anymore, even though everybody just voted to continue funding. But she placed a hold on the funds. What that means specifically, they're not available to Egypt right now, and I don't know what other process she has to go to in order to stop funding altogether. I would think that would be a House vote, which, again, they voted on.
Well, get your Obama phone out and call her.
Call
Representative Granger a statement from her.
Okay. We can try and get a statement from her.
Oh, you didn't get your Obama phone?
Yeah, no. Did you?
Apparently everyone's getting them. But and I almost downloaded it just to have it, but it's been so played the last 2 days. It's out of control.
Listen, I don't get Obama phone. I'm a member of the middle class.
Right, and you pay taxes.
I pay taxes.
Right, so you don't get no Obama phone.
Yeah, no. Do you?
No, I don't. Huh. And I wanted to have all this stuff. I wanted to go into play what else is Obama going to give away for free to get a
Go play it.
Well, that was pretty much the whole game right there. What else is Obama? I have a small interest.
Well, the Democrats' way of running this country is to go tell us all how we ought to make sacrifices. God, they're great on that stuff. But they're all going to have us over the hill to the poorhouse. We ain't going to be able to drive over there because we ain't got no gas, so we're going to have to walk it.
All right, so
yes. I love Archie Bunker. Can I
so we're going to have health care, house subsidies, food stamps, which I think is eventually just going to go to the government food stores that you can ID and get free food, but I digress. So, what else? What the thing, Obama's, it's like the price is
gas.
I think he's going to give away gas.
Here's why.
Okay.
Because gas is going to be so expensive.
Don't forget he's going to be giving condoms soon. Or he already is.
Yeah.
Control
abortion. I like gas. Gas is going to be more expensive. Hey, people can't afford to drive to go look for work.
Right.
They are out of work. They need to drive to get to work or to rob houses. Either one. But they need to drive to where they can go make money.
What? No, I don't think gas is...
Do criminals drive?
Yeah, absolutely. Criminals drive like crazy.
So in order to drive to go look for work, or whatever you call work, whether it's legitimately looking for work or dealing with drugs or finding somebody's house to rob, you need gas to get there to make money so you can feed your family. And so gas vouchers.
All right. Gas vouchers. Gas. Mine is a little bit different.
What do you got?
All expense paid ticket to an island of your choice with 1 week's hotel.
Okay.
And all you need an open bar. I think he might as well at this point. He's giving out cell phones.
Like an all-inclusive.
Yeah, like an all-inclusive vacation.
Ooh, how about television? He can give out televisions with cable boxes that only get MSNBC.
Well, and that would be perfect, actually.
For him.
You know what's funny is when this first came up, somebody said, well, the program's been around forever. It has been around. It was originally designed for cell phones just so people could call 911 in case of emergency. They also have free cell phone programs that are not turned on.
Because there's no other way to call 911.
Well, they just essentially, from my understanding, they gave you absolute, because a lot of places now want to do this.
You know what?
Local business.
Why not give them like a life alert button? Just one of those buttons. I'm following it. I mean, you don't get a cell phone to make phone calls. You get a free button.
Would find one and just keep pressing it, not knowing what it did.
Right.
Until the whole world showed up. I was trying to call for coffee. I didn't know what this thing did. And then it was like bumped up. Now with cell phones, same thing. It was supposed to be for 911 only, for emergency only, and they give it away old recycled cell phones that you just plugged in. They had no other use but 911. Apparently now, and I don't have this officially, but I read an article online from a couple people the other day saying it comes with like 50 minutes, like anytime minutes, and there was, I repeat, was a up that to like 500 minutes a month.
Hang on a second. Rooster's in the chat room, and he said when the program started, they didn't even have push-button phones. Rooster, I'm sorry, but there was no written Morse code from an individual person at that time. I don't believe.
Is he remembering back to his youth?
Yeah, I think so. Like from his early 30s.
Poor Rooster.
Hey, was the railway even finished then?
No, but it's an old program. And actually, I believe it started in 85 or 86.
18?
Sorry, 19. He's going to call in on fire now. That's awesome.
That's awesome.
But yeah, and then
they come after me with your muzzle loader.
The clip that they played was just absolutely ridiculous. And sadly, it showed their supporter. And there's another supporter I saw on YouTube today who essentially said that Ambassador Stevens was calling for getting killed. And this was an Obama supporter. And this is at Ohio, I think it was. And was convinced that Romney was going to raise the tax on the middle class, even though he said he's going to cut taxes for everyone. And no matter what was said to him, those words never came out. He wants to cut. Nope, 100% Obama. Nope, 100% Obama. Like, well, why? You're not listening. What has he done? What's he done to make your life better now? And all he could say is, oh, no, it's better. Well, what has he done? Nothing. No answer. It was just crickets. It was literally like when you ask me a tough question, what are you talking about? this election is going to be out of control, and it's spun
you know what?
so bad.
It is.
Romney was right about the 47%. They're not going to listen to him, and it's not because he doesn't care after he gets into office. That's been spun way out of control. But 40% of the people that are voting that don't pay taxes are voting for Obama because they don't want their funds cut.
Exactly.
And he will never win them in an election where he's talking about personal responsibility.
No, and
I just don't think it's going to happen.
Obama's put how many more people on food stamps? And I mean, he's expanded these programs so much that he's got his voter base.
Yeah.
Now, going back to something about, did you not say something about Ambassador Stevens?
Yes.
Getting killed?
Yes.
Okay, I want to kind of get back to what we were talking about before we kind of got off topic there for a little bit. But I know Kay Granger was also a co-signer on a letter that some chair people from the House committees on various committees sent to the president. And I read the chairman of the Committee on Appropriations, the chairman of the Committee of Armed Services, the chairman on the Committee of the Judiciary, chairman on the Committee of Foreign Affairs, chairman of the Defense Select Committee on Intelligence, chairman of Appropriations Subcommittee on Commerce, Science, and Related Agencies. I like that one. And related agencies. What does that mean? Whatever the hell we want to give you. Yeah, okay.
Related agencies, the chalk for baseball field.
Yeah.
I'll share that.
the chairman of Appropriations Subcommittee on Defense and the chairwoman of Appropriations Subcommittee on State, Foreign Operations, and Related Programs. So I read the names or the titles because these are committees that deal with funding, national defense, armed services, and so forth. And they sent a letter to President Obama, dated September 25th. I believe it was transmitted to his office on the 27th, and basically expresses their grave concern, as a quote, about the events surrounding the terrorist attack in Libya on September 11th that led to the United States ambassador to Libya, Christopher Stevens, and 3 other U.S. government personnel. They expressed concern. They were disturbed by public statements made by members of the administration that would lead the American public to attack what it truly was a terrorist attack on the United States anniversary of 9/11, and they come to make their case. But what they say is, in closing, they thank him for considering and that we have significant weight on our constitutional responsibility to appropriate oversight, even when Congress is not in session and stand ready to return to Washington. Therefore, we respectfully request a response as classified attachment A, which obviously I don't have access to. The earliest opportunity to appreciate it and to continue to keep us informed as the FBI investigation concludes. So, these issues relating to how the administration has handled these attacks, and we can get more in depth after our quick break here. That letter that these chair people got together to send the administration, and I'll be curious to see if the Obama administration actually go. Well, you're offering to return to Washington because you guys are out of session. You're offering to return because you care about this country and what we're going through, and I'll give you a briefing. I don't think that'll happen.
I don't think that'll happen either.
But I wanted to throw that out there anyways.
And we come back, we're going to get into the whole, just what the administration has done to twist this, change this, and in my opinion, they were trying to hide it because the election's coming up. They didn't want to look bad in the election. So stick around. We'll be back.
How you doing? John Grant here. When I'm not slaving over a hot microphone on the 405radio.com Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, I check out Sean and Clint here at Sackheads Radio. We all appreciate the best political bloggers, writers, and commentators We either get them on our shows or we make fun of them, as it should be. So check us out live Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern or forever on the podcasts on the 405radio.com.
Hey folks, this is Sackhead Clint. I want to take this opportunity to thank the men and women of our armed forces, as well as our first responders, law enforcement, firefighters, and emergency medical personnel. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for making this country and our communities a better and safer place. God bless.
Hi, this is Sarah Marie Brenner. You know, we often talk on the Brenner Brief about the fact that there really needs to be an organization to help people at the local level who are interested in running for things like school boards, city council, and other local offices. Well, I think I finally have the solution for you, at least for you women out there. It's called Politigal Network, Politigal Network.com. Their website's going to be launching mid-August, but they're already on Twitter at PoliticalUSA. I encourage you to follow them and become a member. Their goal is to be the #1 resource for conservative women. So if you love freedom, liberty, the United States of America, and politics, check out PoliticalNetwork.com or Twitter at PoliticalUSA.
Hey guys, it's Sean from Sackheads Radio. I know I've said it before. Check out our friends at conservativeoutcry.net, but I really mean it. If you want interesting and exciting political commentary and analysis, that is the place to get it. Different, always spot on, always truthful, never pulling a punch. conservativeoutcry.net. Tell Rooster to get Bulldog back on and that Sackheads Radio sent you. And also, coming soon, the Sackheads Radio Forum on conservativeoutcry.net.
Hey guys, it's Sean from Sackheads Radio. I want to talk to you a minute about our friends over at HomefrontHugs.com. They're an amazing organization of volunteers who take their time, effort, and money to take care of our troops overseas as they serve our great nation. HomefrontHugs.com. You can donate, write letters to troops, adopt a troop, you name it, you can do it. Help those wonderful folks who protect our freedoms. Go to HomefrontHugs.com. Tell them Sackheads Radio sent you.
Hey, this is Sackhead Clint. I want to take this opportunity to thank our men and women in uniform of the armed forces. Hey, this is Sackhead Clint. I want to take this opportunity to thank our men and women. Hey, this is Sackhead Clint. I want to take this opportunity to thank the men and women of our armed forces, as well as our... God.
You going to mention me this time?
Thank you, Sean. You said mention you, right?
Oh.
You totally need to keep that as an outtake.
Now back to Clint and Sean on Sackheads Radio, radiating elegancy and quality.
Oh, I cut myself off. And welcome back to the show. I just got a very angry telegram.
Yeah, why was that Western guy here?
Yeah, he sent us a telegram. Hopefully a telegraph was down. Sent it by a leather bag. And he's very mad. So we apologize for the age joke. You know we love you. Rooster's a good...
Rooster, I said we love you. Sorry for the age joke.
Check him out. ConservativeOutcry.net. He has some amazing posts, and there's actually a bunch of great ones on this week. I know he's on a hunt, a personal hunt for Ahmadinejad's personal email. If you can, give him a shot, because that's going to be on if he gets it, and I can't wait. ConservativeOutcry.net. So when we went to break, we were in Libya, and we were talking about the attacks there, and initially the White House.
Yeah,
absolutely.
There's a story that came out today. Again, FoxNews.com got this story from, and top intelligence officials backtracking on the Libya story. Essentially, what it says is Sean Turner, who's a spokesman for the Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper, put out a statement essentially saying that, hey, the reason the administration came out with this information at first is because initial intel assessments was that it was part of the spun off of the protest. But as we got data in and we were able to start reviewing it, the picture became clear that it was a terrorist attack, and so the info that the administration had at first was because of intelligence. But Fox News had a source, and I know they reported on it fairly heavily, that U.S. officials knew within 24 hours of the attack that this attack was suspected to be tied to Al-Qaeda. And I think what I'm honestly not really take the blame and take some of the heat of the administration. I believe President said that his administration, people in his administration have, but I don't think the president himself has come out yet and said that it was in fact an attack.
He doesn't like the word terrorist.
He hasn't come out and addressed the situation still. We talked about that a couple weeks ago. I apologize. I'm losing my voice. Rough week. But it doesn't surprise me that you now have members of the administration or take the heat off of him. Oh, it wasn't his fault. That's kind of what we had at first. Shit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it comes down to. It's just complete BS.
So I'm glad that there's I'm not surprised by this effort. We have the clip.
Which one?
From the Libyan president.
We do have the from the Libyan.
You know, if won't call it a terrorist. We have the Libyan president who says.
Would you call the attack on the U.S. consulate in Benghazi an act of terrorism?
I have no doubt about that. And it's a pre-planned act of terrorism directed against American citizens.
What is your evidence that it was a pre-planned act of terrorism?
Number one is choosing the date, 11th of September. It has all the significance. If we take the facts about the way it was executed, we can see there is enough proof that it is a pre-planned act of terrorism.
President Obama is not calling it a terrorist attack. He stopped short of calling it a terrorist attack.
This is how I am calling it, as a Libyan responsible or Libyan official. But it is for President Obama and Secretary Clinton to describe it the way they like and they feel right. I mean, you have your terminology and we have our terminology. It's an act of terror.
Describe the attack based on your investigation.
It's too early for me to give the details, minute details about this. But it was launched with a high degree of accuracy, which means that the perpetrators must have some kind of exercise on how to hit and how to launch these rockets.
You're confirming that RPGs were used in the initial attack.
And mortars
were used in the subsequent attack.
Safe house, yes.
And do you know how many mortars were used?
About 5, I think.
And you're saying that these were fired with such accuracy that this could not have been done by someone who did not have experience.
Experience and knew what he was doing.
And this is what is helping convince you that this was a pre-planned attack, not in reaction to a controversial movie?
Yes. I have no doubt about this.
Do you think the movie had anything to do with this attack on the consulate?
Not on this attack. Not on this attack. It has nothing to do with this attack.
So do you know then who is behind this attack and what the motive was?
I think it's Al-Qaeda elements who are hiding in Libya.
Is there any direct evidence that it is Al-Qaeda behind this attack on the U.S. consulate in Benghazi?
So far not. So far not. As the investigation progresses.
So that was Libyan President Meghari with Ann Curry on NBC. It was shown on the Today Show. He's the head of the country the attacks held in, and he's the recognized one of the attacks. Right, the Libya, the one where Ambassador was killed along with 3 others. And
500 mortars.
500 mortars.
Launched with accuracy. Yeah,
right.
and rocket-propelled grenades.
Right.
RPGs.
I loved how she kept trying to push the movie thing, but I'll get back to that.
Yeah. He makes a great. So you have these weapon systems with such accuracy that obviously these individuals bring and operating use. I mean, those aren't.
I could tell you right now, you could put a mortar in front of me, I'd have no idea how to aim it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's just no way.
I mean, RPGs,
same thing.
Yeah. Well,
you could give me the manual, and I could point you and have somewhat accuracy. But in order to get any sort of strategic ability, it would take a lot of training and experience.
Especially when you're talking about borders, with what, everything you have to
completely.
Yeah, with everything you have to take into account. I mean, so that's the president of Libya talking about there was doubt in his mind that it was a terrorist attack, that the movie had absolutely nothing to do with this attack. Okay, so you have the leader of a Muslim nation saying what the U.S. government, who is the victims of this attack, they won't even say.
No, he's calling it an act of terror.
And by they, I mean the president. The president himself won't come out with it.
Right. It's perpetrated by Al Qaeda inside Libya. It was pre-planned. They have knowledge it's pre-planned, and they agree that it was a pre-planned attack, and that's the president.
Now she's trying to push the movie.
Right, because that's, and you know what, I've seen this a lot. They keep trying to make this movie bigger than the attack. They keep trying to make the Essence of Muslims movie more important than the fact that they were American soil was attacked in the Middle East, and it's a direct result of policies again. So I don't know, I don't know when the president's actually going to come out and say it. I'm assuming probably
he's going to have to soon.
He should be forced to. Somebody should put it on him. I hope it happens. I hope mainstream media, obviously we don't have the ability to reach out to him, but mainstream media actually does. And hopefully somebody gets to him. You need someone to put it on him. Also, excuse me, sorry. That was my whole thought process.
I'd like to
yeah, it's shut down. I don't know. You know what? Because I'm getting frustrated. I'm getting frustrated. Main media is giving them a pass on this. This is not an issue. Listen, this isn't a bump in the road. This isn't a tiny little incident. This is a major incident in which a U.S. ambassador, 3 other Americans were killed overseas by a coordinated attack people were at war with, whether he wants to admit it or not. It was an act of quote-unquote terror, which I think goes beyond that. I think it's an act of war. It was planned. It was done by militants who had training and experience, and he won't even call it terror. It kills me. And last I checked, the FBI investigative team that went over there, we argued about as to why, they haven't even been at the site yet. So any sort of crime scene evidence that they were going to find, gone. You can't process a crime scene. You're going to treat it as a crime scene, 17 days later? It's impossible. So, and even if they were there, as well as I do, that, the results would not come back until after November.
And it's not a crime scene.
I know it's
an act of war. Our embassy was attacked.
But the fact that he sent them over and they're not even going to see it, and somebody said, well, about the security, if you're really serious and you really feel that you have to treat it like a crime, give them support. Drop a couple of lieutenants of Marines to surround it while they work on it, and do. I mean, obviously,
if you have to provide military support to a law enforcement operation, it is not a law enforcement operation.
That's what I was getting at. It's well beyond the ability of some FBI technicians. Of war. What? And he needs to treat it like that. I think it's an embarrassment that he won't acknowledge it. It drives me absolutely insane. Oh, God. Talk about something else.
Okay.
Look, listen, it's all politics. And, there are Americans dying overseas, and he's still worried about this damn election coming up in November. Whereas it came out and owned it, and I think it would be over and done with, and the press that's actually paying attention to this lying cover-up would have eventually went away. And now it's obviously become an eyes and cover-up, and it's not going to go away. It's going to hurt them. It's going to turn a lot of people that were on the fence.
There's not a lot of people on the fence. That's the problem. Maybe, but look, if you look at the polling right now, and I mean, this is kind of, and yes, Democrats may have been oversampled in some of the polls, but even taking that into consideration, Obama is still leading the polls.
Yeah, by the margin in most polls. There's a couple polls where he's up like 20 points, which
is obviously.
There was a New York Times poll where Obama. It killed me. Romney was up in every category they listed. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. But Obama was still up overall. So can you really listen to polls anymore?
You know what? But here's the thing. I think it goes back to the whole thing of people are so, like that knucklehead you just talked about, the reporter, well, what has he done for you? You're Obama.
Right. Well, that's exactly what it comes down to.
Articulate it. Now, if somebody says, you know what, I like the direction he's taking this country. I believe the Constitution is a living document. I believe that the health care bill is completely constitutional. I think it's a great idea for everybody to have it. We need to pay for it. I think that millionaires should pay, so I'm voting for Obama. Okay. I may disagree with you on every point,
but at least you have reason.
And but you have a reason.
Well, and, case in point, and I got into a Twitter conversation with a guy on Twitter called Anti-Wacko, and he was a complete Obama supporter, but I didn't agree with what he was saying, but he didn't get messy. He didn't try to point the finger in false ways.
Okay.
He stuck to his facts. He made his point. I didn't agree with it. We agreed to disagree at the end.
Right.
And that's fine. And, I think
that's totally okay.
Did he have commented that, hey, you know what? That was good. I don't agree, but the fact that we were able to have an intelligent conversation and both of us point out what we agree with and disagree with, that's fine.
Absolutely. And the guy may have the same philosophical views as the president, and that's fine. I mean, the president, hey, once in a while he'll do something good. Was it today or yesterday? A Chinese company from
Oregon.
What's that?
Up in Oregon.
Yeah, purchasing that it was by a naval base where they fly drones and test drones. Hey, you know what? Good on them.
And that's fine. That's exactly what should have been done.
That's exactly what should have been done for the party affiliation.
Yep.
But what drives me nuts is you have all these people and a lot of Korean people, union supporters that believe the Constitution is the law of the land, don't believe we should be giving foreign monies over there to Egypt and Libya, Pakistan, and yet they're still going to vote for Obama. I mean,
I'm saying is, if you take away all of the politics right now, like if you take away the last 3 years up until the embassy attacks, and you see how he reacted to that, that's something fine. You take away everything else, and I will too. How did he respond to these attacks? It's coming out now that he was deceiving. He was more worried political about getting the right answer and letting the American people know that we were attacked. As we discussed last week, he went on TV in Pakistan with Clinton, and they gave the apology tour. And he can't even come to this country and say, hey, you know what? Maybe the administration did screw up a little. It did cost us the lives. We regret that. But we're going to take a stand. We're going to allow this to happen in the future. We're going to, learn lessons past. These people will have not perished in vain, and we won't let it happen. He hasn't said that yet. He's danced around it. We played the clip last week, but he hasn't said it. And that is just ridiculous. I don't want a commander-in-chief that sugarcoats everything or sidesteps it. I want somebody to actually come out and say, hey, this is what it is. Like it or not, a mistake. We owned it. We learned from it. We moved on. And if it's, if it wasn't a mistake, if we would just cut our pants down, then fine, but tell us.
I like to be out with my pants down usually. Hey, we got to take a break. When we come back, we're going to get to the United Nations. And let's, John.
We have a lot of needs.
We'll get to it.
That's your update on Libya, and we'll be back in a minute.
See you on the
How you doing? John Grant here. When I'm not slaving over a hot microphone on the 405radio.com Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, I check out Sean and Clint here at Sackheads Radio. We all appreciate the best political bloggers, writers, and commentators. We either get them on our shows or we make fun of them, as it should be. So check us out live Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern or forever on the podcasts on the 405radio.com.
Hey folks, this is Sackhead Clint. I want to take this opportunity to thank the men and women of our armed forces, as well as our first responders, law enforcement, firefighters, and emergency medical personnel. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for making this country and our communities a better and safer place. God bless.
Hi, this is Sarah Marie Brenner. We often talk on the Brenner Brief about the fact that there really needs to be an organization to help people at the local level who are interested in running for things like school boards, city council, and other local offices. Well, I think I finally have the solution for you, at least for you women out there. It's called Politigal Network, Politigal Network.com. Their website's going to be launching mid-August, but they're already on Twitter at PoliticalUSA. I encourage you to follow them and become a member. Their goal is to be the #1 resource for conservative women. So if you love freedom, liberty, the United States of America, and politics, check out PoliticalNetwork.com or Twitter at PoliticalUSA.
Hey guys, it's Sean from Sackheads Radio. I know I've said it before. Check out our friends at conservativeoutcry.net, but I really mean it. You want interesting and exciting political commentary and analysis? That is the place to get it. Different, always spot on, always truthful, never pulling a punch. conservativeoutcry.net. Tell Rooster to get Bulldog back on and that Sackheads Radio sent you. And also, coming soon, the Sackheads Radio Forum on conservativeoutcry.net.
Hey guys, it's Sean from Sackheads Radio. I want to talk to you a minute about our friends over at HomefrontHugs.com. They're an amazing organization of volunteers who take their time, effort, and money to take care of our troops overseas as they serve our great nation. HomefrontHugs.com. You can donate, write letters to troops, adopt a troop, you name it, you can do it. Help those wonderful folks who protect our freedoms. Go to HomefrontHugs.com. Tell them Sackheads Radio sent you.
Hey, this is Sackhead Clint. I want to take this opportunity to thank our men and women in uniform of the armed forces. Hey, this is Sackhead Clint. I want to take this opportunity to thank our men and women. Hey, this is Sackhead Clint. I want to take this opportunity to thank the men and women of our armed forces, as well as our... God.
You going to mention me this time?
Thank you, Sean. You said mention you, right?
Oh.
You totally need to keep that as an outtake.
Now back to Clint and Sean on Sackheads Radio, radiating elegancy and quality.
Yeah. Dude, this is the best theme song in the world. Isn't it? Hang on.
By the way, that was compliments Barney Miller. It was ABC back in the 70s. If you haven't checked out Barney Miller, you're only fooling yourself.
I have no idea why I just played Barney Miller's theme song right now. I just can't hear it for some reason.
We're back.
We're back. Hey, so I want to get into the UN.
Okay.
Because this week, I'd like to with Ahmadinejad's speech to the UN, and what I'm really interested is listen to the way that the UN General Assembly responds to him.
Mit der Tasche mal glauben, dass die Tatsache ich weiß, es wird England sein.
Wait, you know what? I'm sorry. That was the wrong hater of the Jewish people that wants to wipe them off the face of the earth. So I'm sorry about that. Do we have Ahmadinejad's actual?
No, I didn't bother.
I apologize. It's very similar. I think it probably said the same things.
Yeah, Israelis must go. They must, that you be blown off the face of the planet.
Yeah, the hate little
the same Ahmadinejad speech he's had for the last 3 years, and longer.
And Hitler had like a lot of the same speeches. So we just played Hitler, and
thank God we invited him to New York though, so he can speak in our country.
Who, Hitler?
No, Ahmadinejad.
Oh. Why did an F-16 just? Never mind.
I think he said it best. Was like, hey, he's on American soil. Now's the time to grab.
Exactly. Wow.
Who do you want to cover first? You want to cover Bibi Netanyahu?
Well, yeah, Ahmadinejad. So let's go.
I have Obama. It's your call. Listen, Netanyahu.
We got to go to Netanyahu. We already discussed this.
Yes. He stole the thunder. The first clip's long. It's going to be 11:54. The rest of it
just play it.
But here is Netanyahu in general.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. It's a pleasure to see the General Assembly presided by the Ambassador from Israel. And it's good to see all of you, distinguished delegates. Ladies and gentlemen, 3,000 years ago, King David reigned over the Jewish state in our eternal capital, Jerusalem. I say that to all those who proclaim that the Jewish state has no roots in our region and that it will soon disappear. Throughout our history, the Jewish people have overcome all the tyrants who have sought our destruction. It's their ideologies that have been discarded by history. The people of Israel live on. We say in Hebrew, Am Yisrael Chai, and the Jewish state will live forever. The Jewish people have lived in the land of Israel for thousands of years. Even after most of our people were exiled from it, Jews continued to live in the land of Israel throughout the ages. And the masses of our people never gave up the dream of returning to our ancient homeland. Defying the laws of history, we did just that. We ingathered the exiles, restored our independence, and rebuilt our national life. The Jewish people have come home. We will never be uprooted again. Yesterday was Yom Kippur, the holiest day of the Jewish year. Every year for over 3 millennia, we have come together on this day of reflection and atonement. We take stock of our past. We pray for our future. We remember the sorrows of our persecution. We remember the great travails of our dispersion. We mourn the extermination of a third of our people, 6 million, in the Holocaust. But at the end of Yom Kippur, we celebrate. We celebrate the rebirth of Israel. We celebrate the heroism of our young men and women who've defended our people with the indomitable courage of Joshua, David, and the Maccabees of old. We celebrate the marvel of the flourishing modern Jewish state. You see, in Israel, we walk the same paths tread by our patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But we blaze new trails in science, technology, medicine, agriculture. In Israel, the past and the future find common ground. Well, unfortunately, that's not the case in many other countries. For today, a great battle is being waged between the modern and the medieval. The forces of modernity seek a bright future in which the rights of all are protected, in which an ever-expanding digital library is available in the palm of every child, in which every life is sacred. The forces of medievalism seek a world in which women and minorities are subjugated, in which knowledge is suppressed, and in which not life, but death is glorified. These forces clash around the globe, but nowhere more starkly than in the Middle East. Israel stands proudly with the forces of modernity. We protect the rights of all our citizens, men and women, Jews and Arabs, Muslims and Christians. All are equal before the law. Israel is also making the world a better place. Our scientists win Nobel Prizes. Our know-how is in every cell phone and computer that you're using. We prevent hunger by irrigating arid lands in Africa and Asia. Recently, I was deeply moved when I visited Technion, one of our technological institutes in Haifa, and I saw a man paralyzed from the waist down climb up a flight of stairs fairly easily with the aid of an Israeli invention. And Israel's exceptional creativity is matched by our people's remarkable compassion. When disaster strikes anywhere in the world, in Haiti, Japan, India, Turkey, Indonesia, and elsewhere, Israeli doctors are among the first on the scene performing life-saving surgeries. In the past year, I lost both my father and my father-in-law. In the same hospital wards where they were treated, Israeli doctors were treating Palestinian Arabs. In fact, every year, thousands of Arabs from the Palestinian territories and Arabs from throughout the Middle East come to Israel to be treated in Israeli hospitals by Israeli doctors. I know you're not going to hear that from speeches around this podium, but that's the truth. It's important that you're aware of this truth. And it's because Israel cherishes life that Israel cherishes peace and seeks peace. We seek to preserve our historic ties and our historic peace treaties with Egypt and Jordan. We seek to forge a durable peace with the Palestinians. President Abbas just spoke here. I say to him and I say to you, we won't solve our conflict with libelous speeches at the UN. That's not the way to solve it. We won't solve our conflict with unilateral declarations of statehood. We have to sit together, negotiate together, and reach a mutual compromise in which a demilitarized Palestinian state recognizes the one and only Jewish state. Israel wants to see a Middle East of progress and peace. We want to see the three great religions that sprang forth from our region, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, coexist in peace and in mutual respect. Yet the medieval forces of radical Islam, whom you just saw storming the American embassies throughout the Middle East, well, they oppose this. They seek supremacy over all Muslims. They're bent on world conquest. They want to destroy Israel, Europe, America. They want to extinguish freedom. They want to end the modern world. Now, militant Islam has many branches, from the rulers of Iran with their revolutionary guards to Al-Qaeda terrorists to the radical cells lurking in every part of the globe. But despite their differences, they are all rooted in the same bitter soil of intolerance. That intolerance is directed first to their fellow Muslims, and then to Christians, Jews, Buddhists, Hindus, secular people, anyone who doesn't submit to their unforgiving creed. They want to drag humanity back to an age of unquestioning dogma, unrelenting conflict. I'm sure of one thing. Ultimately, they will fail. Ultimately, light will penetrate the darkness. We've seen that happen before. Some 500 years ago, the printing press helped pry a cloistered Europe out of a dark age. And eventually, ignorance gave way to enlightenment. so too a cloistered Middle East will eventually yield to the irresistible power of freedom and technology. And when this happens, our region will be guided not by fanaticism and conspiracy, but by reason and curiosity. I think the relevant question is this. It's not whether this fanaticism will be defeated. It's how many lives will be lost before it's defeated. And we've seen that happen before too. Some 70 years ago, the world saw another fanatic ideology bent on world conquest. Now it went down in flames, but not before it took millions of people with it. Those who opposed that fanaticism waited too long to act. In the end, they triumphed, but at an horrific cost. My friends, we cannot let that happen again. You see, at stake is not merely the future of my country. At stake is the future of the world. And nothing could imperil our common future more than the arming of Iran with nuclear weapons. To understand what the world would be like with a nuclear-armed Iran.
So, and that was part one. We're going to play all of his speech. The clips, I promise, will be a lot shorter. I'll tell you, if Obama wants to look at how a leader should act, and you may not agree with his policies, or whatever, but he is a statesman when it comes to being a leader. I mean, he laid it all out. He didn't pull any punches. He said exactly what it was. He went right after the UN at the beginning of that little poke about, it's not about sitting around the UN to come up with resolutions. And then he went right after the big issue, which is Iran. And his whole speech is great. We're going to get to it. But what are your thoughts so far in the first couple minutes of it? And the staring begins.
Look, I really like Prime Minister Netanyahu, and I like the way he addresses the UN there. He's making a point to the UN, and what struck me, I commented to you on it as we were listening. Our microphones were good. I can't believe he makes great points about they want peace in the world. They're committed to peace. They have people coming from Palestinians get treated in hospitals by Israeli doctors because they cherish life. They want Judaism, Christianity, Islam to all be able to coexist together peacefully and respectfully. And the applause
minimal
is minimal.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
So how the UN can talk peace or talk about stopping human rights violations and these other things in the world, you have very few people applauding or reaction to when he makes a statement like that. It's sad, number one, but number two, it demonstrates what the UN really is, how effective they are, how slanted it is, and I want to hear the rest of it each. I think he did an outstanding job. But that's what struck me initially.
And the Iranian delegates weren't even in the room for that. Not even enough respect to sit there for them. 24 hours earlier, I'm a guy's calling, but it just goes to show you Iran's thought process. They won't even listen. So you can't even get to go to the table and talk.
They're not interested in peace.
They're interested in domination.
They want to bring about the end. What Prime Minister Netanyahu was referring to was they want to bring about basically Armageddon, just because that's what their one branch of Islam believes. Yeah, the coming of the 12th of them.
And he gets into that too. So
just imagine the world with a nuclear-armed Al-Qaeda. Now, it makes little difference whether these lethal weapons are in the hands of the world's most dangerous terrorist regime or the world's most dangerous terrorist organization. They're both fired by the same hatred. They're both driven by the same lust for violence. Just look at what the Iranian regime has done up till now without nuclear weapons. In 2009, they brutally put down the protests, mass protests for democracy in their own country. Today, their henchmen are participating in the slaughter of tens of thousands of Syrian civilians, including thousands of children, directly participating in this murder. They abetted the killing of American soldiers in Iraq and continue to do so in Afghanistan. And before that, Iranian proxies killed hundreds of American troops in Beirut and in Saudi Arabia. They've turned Lebanon and Gaza into terror strongholds, embedding nearly 100,000 missiles and rockets in civilian areas. Thousands of these rockets and missiles have already been fired at Israeli communities by their terrorist proxies. In the last year, they've spread their international terror networks to 24 countries across 5 continents, from India and Thailand to Kenya and Bulgaria. They've even plotted to blow up a restaurant a few blocks from the White House in order to kill a diplomat. And of course, Iran's rulers repeatedly deny the Holocaust and call for Israel's destruction almost on a daily basis, as they did again this week from the United Nations. So I ask you, given this record of Iranian aggression without nuclear weapons, just imagine Iranian aggression with nuclear weapons. Imagine their long-range missiles tipped with nuclear warheads, their terror networks armed with atomic bombs. Who among you would feel safe in the Middle East? Who'd be safe in Europe? Who'd be safe in America? Who'd be safe anywhere? Now, there are those who believe...
And I clipped a little early there, but so he names everywhere that Iranian operators operate: Syria, Afghanistan, Iraq, Beirut, Saudi Arabia, just everything they've been involved with, the planned attack on the White House. You know, one of our first podcasts way back in the day, we covered, I think it was Thailand. Was it Thailand? It was a country in Asia in which Iranian operatives were trying to launch an attack, and they screwed it up. But his point is they've had this ongoing, nonstop history of aggression and trying to force whatever they want down other people's throats, 100,000 missiles that are in Gaza and all that. And he highlights the fact that not only are they going to have the bomb, not only would it be bad for them as a country, but they're going to start handing it out to these proxies. And at the end of the day, they don't exactly control them. I'm sure the proxies operate when it's convenient, and it's been convenient to this point, but it's not like they're operative that they have total control over, and you never have total control over anyone. But he highlights that, and it's scary to me.
But sorry, you caught me drinking my coffee. I'm like, I'm going to drink listening to you, and sorry, it's kind of like the waitress that comes to the table right when you take the big mouthful of food and says, "Oh, how's everything?" And you're like, "Oh,
that was great, thanks."
Yeah. So thanks for that. And next time, I got to peek over your shoulder to see if I got coffee cup in my mouth.
I love having half a piece of prime rib jam down my throat just so I can answer. I'm so afraid to be rude that you're going to spit in the dessert that I don't want to ignore you. So, that was a great analogy, man.
Look, he's drawing a line in the sand. He's setting at the stage for here is why a nuclear-armed Iran is dangerous, not only for Israel, but for the world. And unfortunately, I don't think people are going for a lot of the countries are going to listen. I think what he's appealing to, he's using common sense. He's using history to prove his point and to bring his UN going to do? Stricter sanctions? I think he's kind of setting himself up when Israel goes in and
that's going to happen.
Yeah, it's going to happen. He's laying his out ahead of time.
He's getting to the point where he can't say, "Hey, you didn't know this was coming." I like clip number 3, and like I said, this whole speech is just
that a nuclear-armed Iran can be deterred like the Soviet Union. That's a very dangerous assumption. Militant jihadists are not secular Muslims. Militant jihadists behave very differently from secular Marxists. There were no Soviet suicide bombers, yet Iran produces hordes of them. Deterrence worked with the Soviets because every time the Soviets faced a choice between their ideology and their survival, they chose their survival. But deterrence may not work with the Iranians once they get nuclear weapons. There's a great scholar of the Middle East, Professor Bernard Lewis, who put it best. He said that for the Ayatollahs of Iran, mutually assured destruction is not a deterrent. It's an inducement. Iran's apocalyptic leaders believe that a medieval holy man will reappear in the wake of a devastating holy war, thereby ensuring that their brand of radical Islam will rule the earth. Now, that's not just what they believe. That's what is actually guiding their policies and their actions. Just listen to Ayatollah Rafsanjani, who said, I quote, "The use of even one nuclear bomb inside Israel will destroy everything. However, it would only harm the Islamic world." Rafsanjani said, "It is not irrational to contemplate such an eventuality." Not irrational. And that's coming from one of the so-called moderates of Iran. Shockingly, some people have begun to peddle the absurd notion that a nuclear-armed Iran would actually stabilize the Middle East. Yeah, right. That's like saying a nuclear-armed Al-Qaeda would usher in an era of universal peace. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been speaking about the need to prevent Iran from developing nuclear weapons for over 15 years. I spoke about it in my first term in office as Prime Minister, and then I spoke about it when I left office. I spoke about it when it was fashionable, and I spoke about it when it wasn't fashionable. I speak about it now because the hour is getting late, very late. I speak about it now because the Iranian nuclear calendar doesn't take time out for anyone or for anything. I speak about it now because when it comes to the survival of my country, it's not only my right to speak, it's my duty to speak.
Look, I'm saying the same thing over and over with these clips. I think we should play through from its beginning. We keep we're bringing this point all the time. He made an excellent case again for what he's saying. He's right. The coming of the 12th Imam, which is what in order to they figure out the world through a massive holy war, and I don't think many people understand that segment of Islam or that mindset, but Ahmadinejad is a true believer, so he is bringing about the 12th Imam for religious purposes as a true believer, and a nuclear weapon would absolutely help him do that. I mean, what better way than to launch a nuke at Israel or the United States, and you are going to have a global war, and you have a war that's going to go nuclear. That, I mean, I don't understand. We can go back to what we talked about earlier, where the Congress said no. We don't want Iran to get a nuclear weapon, and there was a one nay vote on that. We touched on that earlier. He's making the same case, and his whole speech lays the case out for why Israel cannot allow Iran to go nuclear, and also lays out the case why the world as a whole should back Israel on this and join in preventing Iran from going nuclear. And he's ultimately making the case of, hey, resolutions only go so far. Not really. They don't go far at all. And at some point, we're going to have to take
anything yet.
Yeah, at some point, we're going to have to take matters into our own hands, and it's in the world's interest to prevent this, not just Israel's interest. So they light off a nuke in Israel or in the United States. They don't think it's going to affect anybody else.
Right, and you also get the whole thing of suitcase bombs and stuff like that, which you kind of touched on too. Is once they're out, you can't get them back. And we had this problem after the Soviet Union fell. They still, and I think they still have, nuclear material and nuclear weapons that they can't make for that could be dirty bombs, suitcase bombs. All we're doing is creating that situation again.
And once they have the ability to create these weapons, they don't have to put them in a missile. They can put them into whatever they want to put them into.
Well, and he covers that, and this is the last clip. It's a long one we play through, but this is when he gets out his diagram that everybody, for some reason, thought was like childish and silly and clip art. And I said, no, you had to kind of dumb it down so everyone at the UN for the most can understand it.
Yeah.
And here.
The simplest example is gunpowder in a fuse. That is, you light the fuse and you set off the gunpowder. In the case of Iran's plans to build a nuclear weapon, the gunpowder is enriched uranium. The fuse is a nuclear detonator. For Iran, amassing enough enriched uranium is far more difficult than producing the nuclear fuse. For a country like Iran, it takes many, many years to enrich uranium for a bomb. That requires thousands of centrifuges spinning in tandem in big, very big industrial plants. Those Iranian plants are visible, and they're still vulnerable. In contrast, Iran could produce the nuclear detonator, the fuse, in a lot less time, maybe under a year, maybe only a few months. The detonator can be made in a small workshop the size of a classroom. It may be very difficult to find and target that workshop, especially in Iran. That's a country that's bigger than France, Germany, Italy, and Britain combined. The same is true for the small facility in which they could assemble a warhead or a nuclear device that could be placed in a container ship. Chances are you won't find that facility either. So in fact, the only way that you can credibly prevent Iran from developing a nuclear weapon is to prevent Iran from amassing enough enriched uranium for a bomb. So how much enriched uranium do you need for a bomb? And how close is Iran to getting it? Well, let me show you. Brought a diagram for you. Here's a diagram. This is a bomb. This is a fuse. In the case of Iran's nuclear plans to build a bomb, this bomb has to be filled with enough enriched uranium. And Iran has to go through 3 stages. The first stage, they have to enrich enough low enriched uranium. The second stage, they have to enrich enough medium enriched uranium. And the third stage and final stage, they have to enrich enough high enriched uranium for the first bomb. Where's Iran? Iran's completed the first stage. Took them many years, but they completed it, and they're 70% of the way there. Now they're well into the second stage. And by next spring, at most, by next summer, at current enrichment rates, they will have finished the medium enrichment and move on to the final stage. From there, it's...
So he went on and explained that essentially within a year, by all best estimates, they could have the capability of having a nuclear bomb, and that was scary. Now, my favorite part is that he had a diagram that was a Wile E. Coyote bomb with a fuse out of it with the word 70, and it was 70% line, 90%. And then he went on to the line, which everyone's talked about, saying, hey, we have to do it by year or it's too late, too little, too late. And that went on the 88%. And, he goes on to talk about how the triggering devices are in rooms so small that it'd be easy to miss for intelligence. And even though, he absolutely loves and trusts the intelligence of the Israeli Mossad and the Allies, that what they need after the 90% and after they have full enriched uranium, what they need to make the bomb after that is so small. We know they have long and medium range missiles. We know that they're producing the enriched uranium, and it gets to the full enrichment to the point that it can be thrown on a tip of a missile or a suitcase or whatever. The trigger devices at that point are really hard to detect. So it's either do something now, take the stand now, keep them from going on, or it's going to be too late. And that's just, like I said at one point, that's just what we know about. Intelligence is great, but it's not. He said that in the speech. If you haven't listened to the whole speech in the entirety, it was exactly what's been said in a lot of ways by our president. It wasn't, and we said I'm a fan of Netanyahu. I think he was spot on. He was a leader. It's refreshing to see a leader from another nation if it's not ours. It was great, but it really highlighted how scary and how close Iran is, and just how they're hell bent on the just total domination.
12th Imam Ben.
Yeah, 12. Thank you, 12th Imam Ben.
You're welcome. You need to listen. I don't appreciate you not being tolerant.
I know this because we cover this on a regular basis, but watching his really kind of set it home again and really kind of smacked me in the head and said, yeah, they are that close. And who knows where it's going to go. And they hate so much, they'll throw it around. So we're going to take a break. We come back. The phone number is 347-9399. We'll talk a little bit more about the idea of Obama, a small clip from Obama, and we'll take calls.
Hey, it's Sackhead Sean. It's time for the Wicked Pissin' News.
Citing national security risks, President Barack Obama on Friday blocked a Chinese company from owning 4 wind farm projects in northern Oregon near a Navy base where the U.S. military flies unmanned drones and electronic warfare planes on training missions. It was the first time in 22 years that a U.S. president has blocked such a foreign business deal. The Obama administration moved Friday to rally Syria's opposition with pledges of $45 million in new non-lethal and humanitarian assistance as the administration and other world leaders lamented the failure of diplomatic efforts to push Syrian President Bashar Assad from power. Secretary of State Hillary Rodham Clinton said the U.S. would contribute an additional $15 million in non-lethal gear, mostly communications equipment, to civilian opposition trying to oust Assad, as well as $30 million in new humanitarian assistance to help those affected by the continuing violence. The leader of an Iranian militant group that was taken off the U.S. terror list on Friday says the move will change her group's balance of power with the world, predicting a higher profile in politics, fundraising, and diplomacy, and increased anti-regime activity in Iran. The U.S. State Department says the People's Mujahideen of Iran hasn't committed terror for more than a decade. The group has also complied with demands that more than 3,000 of its once armed members abandon their base in Iraq near the Iranian border for a camp outside Baghdad an essential step to ending their decades-long presence in Iraq. Arnold Schwarzenegger says his wife, Maria Shriver, was told to snap out of it by her mother for her attempts to persuade him against running for California governor in 2003. A conversation, that ultimately opened the door to his successful candidacy. Eunice Shriver told her daughter that her husband would be very angry for the rest of his life if she stopped his ambition. Schwarzenegger writes this in his new autobiography, Total Recall, My Unbelievably True Life Story. A man fired from his job at a Minneapolis sign-making business pulled out a handgun and began shooting up its offices, fatally wounding the owner and 4 others before turning the gun on himself, police said Friday. Andrew Engeldinger, 36, injured at least 3 other people in the Thursday attack at Accent Signage Systems, which Police Chief Tim Dolan said lasted no more than about 15 minutes. Dolan also said that Engeldinger may have chosen to spare some former co-workers. As the clock winds down to December 21st, experts on the Mayan calendar have been racing to convince people that the Mayans didn't predict an apocalypse for the end of this year. Some experts are now saying the Mayans may indeed have made prophecies, just not about the end of the world. U.S. banks have been buffeted by more than a week of powerful cyber attacks, but the mystery surrounding their perpetrators lingers. One expert said Friday that he was suspicious of claims of responsibility purportedly made by Islamists angry at the anti-Muslim movie made in the United States, explaining that the widely circulated internet postings might have been an attempt to deflect attention from the true culprit. Authorities in Tennessee issued a statewide Amber Alert on Friday for 2 children missing since their home was destroyed by an intense fire. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation sent out the alert late Friday evening after investigators spent a 5th day trying to determine if there were any remains of the children in the fire debris. A joke by the satirical newspaper The Onion appears to have gotten lost in translation. An Iranian news agency picked up, as fact, a story from the paper about a supposed survey showing an overwhelming majority of rural white Americans would rather vote for Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad than President Barack Obama. But it was made up, like everything in the Just for Laughs newspaper, which is headquartered in Chicago. Vanessa Fields, Sackheads Radio News.
We're going to jump in and we're going to cover the whole General Assembly, so if you're calling in 347-205-9999. We will take one place and put one clip from Obama real quick, kind of sums up his speech a little bit, and others.
For every angry mob that gets shown on television, there are billions around the world who share similar hopes and dreams. They tell us that there is a common heartbeat to humanity. So much attention in our world turns to what divides us. That's what we see on the news. That's what consumes our political debates. But when you strip all away, people everywhere long for the freedom to determine their destiny, the dignity that comes with work, the comfort that comes with faith, and the justice that exists when governments serve their people and not the other way around. Security for our citizens. Now, I have made it clear that the United States government had nothing to do with this video, and I believe its message must be rejected by all who respect our common humanity. It is an insult not only to Muslims, but to America as well. He supported the birth of a new democracy. Given the power of faith in our lives and the passion that religious differences can inflame, the strongest weapon against hateful speech is not repression. It is more speech. The voices of tolerance that rally against bigotry and blasphemy and lift up the values of understanding and mutual respect that topple the dictators. Because we recognize. But in 2012, at a time when anyone with a cell phone can spread offensive views around the world with a click of a button, the notion that we can control the flow of information is obsolete. And the question then is, how do we respond? And on this, we must agree. There is no speech that justifies mindless violence. Make no mistake, a nuclear-armed Iran is not a challenge that can be contained. It would threaten the elimination of Israel, the security of Gulf nations, and the stability of the global economy. It risks triggering a nuclear arms race in the region and the unraveling of the Non-Proliferation Treaty. That's why a coalition of countries is holding the Iranian government accountable. And that's why the United States will do what we must to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon. If there is a cause that cries out for protest in the world today, peaceful protest, it is a regime that tortures children and shoots rockets at apartment buildings. And we must remain engaged to assure that what began with citizens demanding their rights does not end in a cycle of sectarian violence. Together we must stand with those Syrians who believe in a different vision, a Syria that is united and inclusive, where children don't need to fear their own government, and all Syrians have a say in how they're governed, Sunnis and Alawites, Kurds and Christians. That's what America stands for. That is the outcome that we will work for, with sanctions and consequences for those who persecute, and assistance and support for those who work for this common good. It must not belong to a dictator who massacres his people. Among Israelis and Palestinians, the future must not belong to those who turn their backs on the prospect of peace. Let us leave behind those who thrive on conflict, those who reject the right of Israel to exist. The road is hard, but the destination is clear: a secure Jewish state of Israel and an independent, prosperous Palestine.
So that was kind of the highlights of his speech. You know, I love the apology for our freedoms got out early. He made a comment, and I made a comment over it, about being able to control the flow of information because of cell phones. Why are you even going there? It doesn't matter if we can control or not. Constitutionally, they can't control. It's information. It's freedom of speech. We have that in this country. Why are you apologizing for it again?
Why would you bring the independent Palestine to the UN also? And then refuse to meet with Benjamin Netanyahu.
Exactly. And that drives me absolutely insane. It's time to go in The View and yak it up with them because they want to get reelected, but they didn't even have enough time to meet with the Prime Minister of Israel, one of our closest allies. He did squeak in time for a phone call today, I believe, so that was nice.
Oh, did he call into the show finally?
Yeah. No, but it
wasn't.
You know, I used the joke, I think, earlier, that I have a tendency to call people I don't want to see in person there, so, you know, that worked out great. It's supposed to be one of his allies, you know. Then he went on to Syria to talk about, he always talked about Iran. Took the same stance he's had, hey, you know, they can't have nuclear weapons, but we'll do whatever we can as long as it's sanction related, and we don't want to do much more than that. So, in my opinion, the winner of the speech giving process at the UN General Assembly was Netanyahu. You know, he's the same Obama. He didn't get excited. He didn't get offensive. He called on for, not to do violence because he also did that same balancing act where he blamed the speech a little bit for the problem. It's just mind-boggling to me.
You know, and with all of this going on, we have now the UN passed that resolution for the limiting free speech or whatnot. You have, I want to read a comment by Mrs. Clinton, quoting, "And in established democracies, we're still working to protect fully our religious diversity, prevent discrimination, and protect free expression. So for all of these reasons, the gathering and the shared commitment it represents is vitally important. It is one of these events that has great ramifications far beyond this room. Under this resolution, the international community is taking a strong step for freedom of expression and worship and against discrimination and violence based upon religion or belief." Perfect. So Iran wanting to wipe Israel off the face of the earth, does that not fit? We just can't make videos depicting Muhammad.
Right.
We can't say what we want, because what if my religion doesn't believe the same way as another religion, and I say so. Or, hey, in my religion, it's okay to draw pictures of who I believe in.
Mm-hmm.
And who you believe in, because for whatever reason I want to. How is that now? We're going to be some UN resolution saying we can't do that?
It's only a matter of time, I'm sure.
Wait, they passed a resolution. Resolution 1618. I love that look.
That, are you absolutely freaking kidding? Look, yeah, me too.
Yeah. It was Secretary of State Clinton called on the membership to they want to protect religion. So this was back in 2011, July 16th, 2011, and this paves the way for what we're seeing now. So a year and a half, a little over a year ago, we had this resolution come out from the UN, and it fits with the dialogue that's going on right away. And with this resolution that was passed, how come nobody's bringing that up? Hey, you know what? We're supposed to be respectful of religion and belief and everything else. Yet, not when it doesn't go your way.
Well, yeah, I don't agree. You know, it's kind
I'm confused.
Oh my goodness. Well, why don't we jump to a call? I'm going to take Rooster, and then if you want to call and discuss, 347-205-93. Hey, you're on the air.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Hey Rooster, how's it going?
How you doing, Rooster?
I'm doing well. You know, it's interesting you bring up that cell phone, or Obama brought up the cell phone issue and how you can't prevent information from going about the world. Apple's actually developing technology where they can prevent that. I wrote about it. I wrote about it about a week ago. Look for the post that talks about Big Brother.
Shut off, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure the government will have the trigger for that.
Well, I'm sure. And he also failed to mention one of the other groups of people that share the common world, and that's the ones that want to go meet the virgins now.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ones we're at war with.
Yeah, no, funny. Netanyahu had no problem mentioning them, but our president, 17 after we attacked her, I'm sorry, I think it was 13 at the time, or 14, couldn't even mention them.
Yeah, I know. But really, I had a couple reasons for wanting to call you guys tonight. I didn't catch the show until the next day last week, but it was a great show.
Thank you.
First, I want to offer an apology to you, live listeners, to the people that catch the podcast for any crude or off-color remarks I've made in the past. I know that's not what you expect of me, and quite frankly, it's not how we do things in this country. Now, with that said, what the fuck is our government doing? Hey, seriously,
I'm trying to figure out here. Seriously, that's what
we're trying to get to the bottom of, man.
Do they not know what's at stake here? Now, who are the nuclear-armed countries in the Middle East?
Israel.
Yeah, that's the one I wanted to point out.
Okay.
They forget about them. And do you think Bibi, who doesn't have the capability of dropping a bomb that has the capability of going through the earth so far and demolishing their bunkers, but he does have a nuke.
Yeah. So if you're him,
and Bibi will use his before they use theirs.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, like we said during his speeches, he's doing the one thing that I wish our president would do, and that's defending Israel. And I give him all the credit in the world for that. That's his job. That's what he's supposed to do. It's okay to make friends with everybody else after you're safe, but you have to protect your nation, man.
Now, well, Sean, you know that I'm on a quest right now because I want to talk to Abu Dhabi myself. I want to go Jesse Jackson on everybody and just negotiate on my own. And I'm looking for contact information now.
Have you tried this press office? They're pretty free with information on that.
No. I want a direct email. I'm gonna write to the man. And I'm going to
do
post
that.
it.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you get that email through, let me know right away, because I will post that up on our site. That would be magic. I have to ask, because I will not be able to sleep tonight wondering.
Well, you saw the website. There's a contact button. I just got to translate the Farsi. And Bulldog happens to speak Farsi.
You're kidding me.
I'm not.
I love it.
That's what Bulldog used to do.
Speak Farsi? You'd like just sit in the corner and...
No, he used to work in a little black building that's out near Fort Meade in Maryland.
I assume he has amazing listening skills. What would your email to Ahmadinejad say?
Well, obviously I would open it with, identifying myself as the official Secretary of State of the Sackheads Radio Show.
Absolutely. And so forth, you will be known.
And I will just simply tell him the things that our president will not. That Ronald Reagan, God bless his soul, would have opened his speech at the UN by saying that effective tomorrow there will now be a base in Israel.
Oh yeah.
And we will have planes. No, he wouldn't have. And I don't want to come across as a warmonger, because I don't want war. But at some point you have to stop these guys.
Well,
and you guys. I'd also add in my speech to the UN, hey guys, I forgot to ask the question a couple of months ago, but Pakistan, could you tell me why bin Laden was living in your country for the past 4 years?
Yeah, if I was speaking to the UN, I'd be like, and Pakistan, speaking of Pakistan, why don't you guys pack your shit, stand up, and get the fuck out of our country? God, that's how my speech would go to the UN.
They designated it a national holiday to go storm our embassy.
Yeah, exactly. But I do think that's an interesting question that somebody said, maybe when Obama went on TV to apologize for our freedom of speech, he could have said, oh, by the way, while I have your attention, anyone want to explain to me why he was 2 blocks away from your version of West Point and nobody did anything about it?
Yeah. And and I bet they haven't asked a question.
No, they absolutely not. You don't want to poke the bear. You don't want to make them seem like you're upset with them, then they won't be our friends. Everybody wins.
You know what, Avery, so I just talked about real quick that old resolution that was passed by the UN Security Council limiting, that freedom of speech on religion or whatnot. There's this call now from that Muslim scholar, that sheikh, that wants to completely limit free speech. It's called on the United Nations to basically end free speech, talking about how he wants everyone to ponder the ramifications of evoking feelings of, a number of people, basically talking about the Muslims.
Well, there goes my website.
Yeah, well, and no kidding, and that poses a threat to world peace, he says, with no tangible benefits. So he's renewing this call on basically the UN limiting speech on that. And I touched on it. We had to move on, and calls we're getting. But I wanted to tie together your thoughts on that.
Did you see the movie?
Which movie?
The Innocence of Muslims.
Yeah. Did you watch it?
I haven't been able to watch the whole thing because it was ironically down for a while, and I have.
Well, I saw it. It reminded me of the old airplane movies. it really did. I mean, it was that type of movie. Those people were not.
Why did Muhammad speak jive or something? What? Remember? This never spoke jive. Did they make the prophets speak jive? Because that would be awesome.
I can't even go into some of the content. It's beyond. It's beyond me. And I'm pretty bad. But
the acting was terrible. The writing was bad. It was very You know what? As bad as our show is some weeks, that much worse. It was just over the top. To call it a movie is a stretch.
It was. I don't know what they're. If Mitt Romney doesn't hammer him hard on this, and I think I put a tweet out when they say ovary, Mitt has to reply Egypt. I mean, just over and over and over again, because this is going to blow up.
Oh yeah. And it's only, I'll tell you right now, you and I both know we'll probably be sitting here talking about the new revelations, and it's going to be even worse. And, President has so much egg on his face right now with that he thought he was going to be able to slip it through. He thought mainstream media was going to give it a break, and in some ways they haven't. Most ways they have. But even mainstream media is kind of a little bit on it here and there because a lot of
because they have
on the left, you have no choice.
They have absolutely no choice. He lied.
They could play little games like they did recently with the Ryan video where they were chanting Ryan and not leaving Romney, and he came out and said, "Oh no, chant my name too," which was debunked completely. It was MSNBC doing convenient editing once again.
That's weird.
So bad that even Joe Scarborough uttered something to the effect of, "Oh Jesus, not again," or something like that live. So that tells you how obvious it was. But in this, there's nothing they could do. Because if they sided with the president and they just let it go, they would do exactly what they don't want people to do. It would cause people to wake up and start attention and say, hey, wait a minute. You're supposed to be the defenders of the republic in some way, and you're not doing your job and taking him to task for something that he obviously, in his administration, obviously screwed up, and now they're trying to cover up.
What do you think of the intelligence spokesman coming out basically trying to take the hit for the administration? Is it a shock to you at all?
Even that's not going to fly this time.
No.
This one's got coattails, and if Mitt does it right, and I'm by no means a Mitt fan, but this could win him the election.
Yeah, this is the big thing, and he needs to hammer it home. This answers, this kind of answers the 3 a.m. phone compulsion that Secretary Clinton had in her campaign against Obama back in 08. Phone rings, or I think it was the other way around. Phone rings at 3 a.m., blah, 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 blah.
That was the old Mondale one, too, right?
Huh?
The old Mondale one, too?
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Reagan Mondale, yeah.
But I think she rehashed it. But that answers your question. He's not answering the phone at 3 a.m. because the more we look into it, the more they had intelligence ahead of time, the more that, I'm not saying it was perfect, it never would have happened, but they could have. If they had people in motion, if they said, hey, we found out about this before we were sending Marines, it was too late, we tried to get them to the safe house. Now they're finding out that these Navy SEALs weren't even involved. They were already at the safe house.
They responded to assist, but they weren't attached to his security detail.
Yeah, which there was conflicting evidence that they were out of it on intelligence and stuff like that. It's getting bad, and it's blowing up more and more, and the balloons get off eventually. And
you know what I want to hear?
Yeah, but aren't they deleting emails and they're getting rid of the documents?
Yeah,
of course.
I mean, this is going to sound
but
bad.
They've already been caught with their pants down.
How does it become criminal?
Yeah, this is his Watergate. This could very well be his Watergate.
His Watergate, his offensive, and his Middle East Iran hostage crisis all rolled in one.
Yeah, I mean, it's scary, and I'll tell you right now, if this could make him look worse than Carter was on the Iran-Contra thing. The Iran hostage thing. It could really blow him up, and like you said, I hope that there are people out there that take the media to task, take him to task. I hope if he does a town hall, and he probably won't now because of this, but if he does a town hall, I hope he stands up and says, hey, what the hell was up with that? You're supposed to be a leader. You won't even say terrorist.
The number one job of the President of the United States is to keep us safe.
Yes.
It's not the budget. It's not social issues. That's Congress's job. It's to keep us safe. And he's not doing it.
Clint and I have talked about this before, that when he's making, when he's proposing things to Congress, that's not his job. What he's supposed to be doing is to keep us safe, keep our embassy safe and stuff like that, and make sure he's on top of it, and he's not. He's just not doing it.
Well, let's hope Mitt takes him to task. Now, here's a scary thought. Hillary's not going to come back next term.
Yeah.
But she's complicit right now too in this whole situation, and I bet she was directed to do what she did. And when she leaves office and Obama gets reelected, she's going to talk.
Yeah, I think she will talk at some point too, because, like I said, I don't
what could be
necessarily.
scarier than Joe Biden as president?
Well, nothing could be possibly scarier.
I mean, Joe would just be drunk at the White House, cursing up a storm, cursing and barking and watching football. That'd be great.
Here's the good news: if Biden is in that White House, there's a good chance that we could Sackhead's radio show from there with a couple of beers and us talking to President Biden at that point.
But you know what? I don't even think Joe Biden would do this.
No, I don't believe he would.
I really don't.
I don't believe Joe Biden is not as. I don't believe that Joe Biden is Marxist or an anti-colonialist. I mean, he may be, but I don't believe he is. Obama is.
Well, and I also don't think that he would.
Obama wouldn't be this far asleep at the wheel either.
Yeah, I don't think he would put Americans in harm's way at this level. I don't think he would worry so much about hurting the feelings of other people that he would allow it to happen. Listen, we joke about Biden all the time, but I think even Biden would have handled this a lot different. And
I think so. And I know Clinton would have.
Yeah, you could talk a million times, but the talk needs to be that Obama didn't handle it right. And you're right.
Bush would have already done it. Bush would have done a preemptive attack.
Oh, yeah, no, it would have. At least if they showed up, there would have been a submarine sitting there ready to go. I mean, but like you said, after she gets out, if she starts talking, there may be the impeachment going around.
And that's kind of what
they'd have to pull a Nixon and resign.
It depends what they find. I don't think he'll resign. Obama's too egotistical, I believe, to resign.
Well, they can shred and delete all they want, but somebody has a copy of it somewhere. You know that. I did.
Yeah, will it come out? Was that confirmed how documents were shredded or deleted?
I don't have numbers in front of me.
Do you know offhand,
Rooster?
I'm sorry. Has what occurred?
You know what? I heard a report today, and I don't have it with me, that there was some cover up the administration of the Justice Department, somebody deleting emails or files related to these attacks and what they knew when they knew it. Have you heard anything like that?
I haven't seen anything, but I don't think it's possible anymore after Watergate. I think there was some safeguards put in that all email is collected at a central location.
You know as well as I do that, I mean, it's kind of the same thing with what we're finding out with Fast and the Furious thing. There may be stuff there, but how soon is it going to get out, and how much? I'm sure that'll be followed down to the executive privilege type thing.
Yeah, that's true. The other possibility is maybe everybody on Twitter's right. Maybe Obama was offended as well.
By the video?
Clint got it.
Hey, Madonna said he was a Muslim, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? I agree to a point that probably offended because we practiced free speech and he wasn't able to control it. So, yeah, I agree with the fact that he was offended. It drives me crazy. Like I said, it's a little telling sign, and he said it in that little clip we played of not being able to control the flow of information. You think that's not... we do it all the time. Yeah, is that him, the teleprompter? Being like the guy with a couple beers and speaking more of the truth than we want him to.
Well, I honestly think this is going to be his downfall. But I've got a poll up on my site right now, and I want to know if Bibi's going to attack before November.
Oh, I think so.
Yeah, I believe so.
And I think we talked about it this week on Twitter. I don't even think he's worried about the election. I mean, it will affect the election. And you know as well as I do, this chatter out there that he would do it just to get rid of Obama and sway the vote a little bit. I don't think he cares. I think if you really pay attention to him, his speech, everything he said for the last year, he's really more interested in defending his nation and his people than he is worried about the election. And I really think he's written off the relationship with us, at least while this president is in office.
No, I agree with you there, but they're almost at his red line.
Oh, yeah.
And honestly, I don't think Israel wants them to get to that red line.
No, I I agree with you. They don't want to take that chance because, and he alluded to it in speeches, and that's just what we know about it. Intelligence is not always perfect. So
yeah,
out there.
Yeah, we did talk about that. And actually, I wish I remember the guy's name, but we actually had a pretty civil debate with the lefty about that. Yeah, yeah. But what?
We talked about that earlier.
And he was nice about it.
Yeah, no, like I said, Clint and I have said this from the beginning of this podcast, or we're in the podcast and now the show is, we don't have to agree, but if you can handle your argument in an intelligent manner and present your facts and why so we'll be happy to debate it with you the best we can. When you start getting into name calling and all that stuff, we're better than most people.
But the fact still remains that when Israel attacked, or when Egypt attacked Israel the last time, a single platoon of Israeli tanks took out half their armor.
Yeah, no, his facts were not right, but at least he was presenting them in an intelligent manner, and I agree with you there.
Yeah.
Hey, Brewster, what's coming up this week on your on KeepItLoveCry.net?
I'm going to talk about the polling a little bit. I don't trust it either. I do think Obama's up, but
not as much as they say. There's no way.
No, not as much as they say. One thing I don't like is early voting's already started, and how can you do that when there's still a campaign running? I never could understand that.
Yeah, no,
and we haven't even had debates yet.
Like I said, if they wanted to set out the ballots the last 2 weeks in November overseas to our soldiers and whatnot, so they're back in time for the election, I understand that. I don't know why we're having an early vote before. I've never understood that, but I know you being an intelligent person, so maybe you can figure it out about it this week, and we can all read.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about Libya. By the way, that wasn't a U.S.-led operation, as Obama would like you to think. That was France, I think.
Yeah. No, I agree. So, all right, we're looking forward to it, my friend. ConservativeOutcry.net. That's a good friend, Rooster. Rooster, thanks for calling.
Thanks for calling in, Rooster.
All right, guys, have a great show. Well, last 5 minutes.
Okay.
All right, bye.
I'll defer to you the last couple minutes. I'll tell you have a point.
No, I really don't. I lost my point a long time ago. I'm Rooster on the show, and I wish I could find anything about what I heard earlier about documents starting to be deleted or files or whatnot. I have nothing to substantiate that.
Well, yeah, it's all been deleted. But you just said it.
I know, and I wish I would have written it down when I but it was one of those things that I heard or saw in passing while I was surfing, and I wanted to come back and mark it down. At this point, I'm going to have to chalk it up. So I kind of forget to say anything because I can't verify it, so I can't right now. I want to floating out there.
We'll put it under investigation for that.
I like it.
All right, so put that under investigation. And good show. Thank you for calling in. I appreciate everyone listening. We'll see you next Friday night. Check us out, SackheadsRadio.com, Facebook, Sackheads.
Did on tonight?
And I'm moving right along.
I honestly don't know. I haven't kept up on any. We have a couple minutes left when we've got to talk sports.
No.
Yeah, we do.
We're done.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure we're done.
Are the Yankees in it?
I'm sorry. This is getting, I don't know, your feed's real bad.
Open one tonight.
When the hell you get put on the spot like that?
I don't know what's going on.
Michael Moore's a douchebag.
Okay.
Who is?
It's getting so bad we can't talk baseball, so it's doing its own thing. It's just acting up. I can really figure out what the problem is with it. It's really not enough. I would love to sit here. We really shouldn't. It's better for the listener.
We still need to get on Paul Ryan. Not wide open doing that.
Rand Paul.
We'll
follow up with Rand Paul
again
this week.
Again.
And there's a couple other people we're hoping to reach out to. The Karen Harrington campaign. Karen will come back on.
Yeah, she's up.
And we have a couple other things.
Do we have any recent polls for that, right? 23rd?
I don't have it in front of me. I was actually reading them the other day, and I don't have significant facts in front of me, so I don't want to answer that.
Why not?
We will see you next Friday. Check us out, SackheadsRadio.com. Sign up for Stitcher and listen to us on Stitcher. You can get a chance to win $100. Use the promo code SACHEADS. For Clint.
That's me.
This is Sean.
That's you.
No, that's you. I got the press pass. It's all wrong because we have press pass. It's not a big deal.
It actually is a really big deal.
We'll talk to you next week. Thanks for joining in on the Friday.